NBA and the NBA Players Association finally came up with new NBA protocols regarding COVID for this season. So let's start because there are a lot of protocols. So I really need everybody to listen up. So players are allowed to leave the hotel rooms for non-team activities and any visitors from hotel rooms. Before, you were allowed to have two visitors per room regarding regarding probably family or like close friends. That's what was allowed. But now there's no visitors allowed in the hotel rooms for road teams. Home teams must remain home unless team activities, and then regular visitors of players or staff from the home teams must have two COVID tests per week. I'm sorry, two COVID tests a day per week. So regarding that, that's probably like maids, like cooks, all those types of people. Regular family who just comes, they need to have two tests per day per week. If that makes any sense. Team members who test positive may require 5 consecutive days of 2 times a day testing in addition to daily point of care tests. So basically, if you do test positive, you're gonna have to probably require being tested 5 consecutive days and 2 times per day. Pre-game meetings until January 26th can last no more than 10 minutes. Other meetings involving players and staff must happen either on the court, in a league approved space, or in the arena in a room that can hold everybody from the players to the staff and can hold them up to 6 feet distance. Let me flip my page. There's more rules. Teams must not arrive at the arena more than 3 hours before tip-off. On court limited to elbow and fist bumps. Team flight structured seating charts to mimic seating charts on bench. So where they sit on the flight is where they're also sitting on the benches. So they're trying to mimic that. Masks must be worn on benches because before there were some players just not wearing masks on the benches. Now they got to be worn on the benches. There will be cool down periods where players can go into a designated area in the arena where they can take off the mask and like kind of relax for like a little bit. But once that cool period is done, they must return to the arena with their masks on and also wear their masks in the locker room. And the source for this was the GOAT Woj and Tim Bontemps, ESPN staff writers. All right, Nate. Since that was so many rules, I hope let me start off first, just so I can remind you like of some in case you forgot. First of all, some of these rules I agree with, and some of them I absolutely don't. Okay.
Right.
Let me get to it. Players not allowing the team not or the NBA not allowing visitors in their hotel rooms. Okay, that I agree with. Okay, I believe when you're on the road, there's no need to have visitors. Okay, because when you're on the road and you fly, you're not having your visitors there anyway. And plus, between COVID going, I don't believe 2 visitors per room should even be allowed. You know what I'm saying? Because they get tested, you have a visitor, and then what? You know what I'm saying? Now you're just putting yourself at risk. That I agree with. Home teams must remain at home unless there's team activities. I also agree with that. Okay, because I believe that them staying home, just like the road, I believe that should be an even playing field. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, they have their family and everything like that. You really can't get away from your family, but you can get away from other people. And so I believe that that's what they should do. I completely agree with that. Regular visitors of players and staff must have 2 COVID tests per week. So this one's really tough. I believe they. Here's what I believe. I believe during that time they shouldn't have any visitors at the home. Now I know that's a lot. I know that's a lot to say, but like I just don't agree with it. You know what I'm saying? Per week, like really? Like I just don't agree with it. Team members who test positive may require 5 consecutive days of two times a day testing. I like that idea. I like especially the fact that you get tested 2 times in case one test was false or whatever. You can take that test again. Pre-game meetings until January 26th can last no more than 10 minutes. Come on, really?
See, that one doesn't make any sense to me because if you're gonna make that rule, make it effective immediately. Don't wait. You feel me?
I'm sorry, that don't make any sense.
It doesn't. Yeah, I didn't
The
understand that one
pre-game
either.
meeting, I don't agree with that rule one bit. Okay, might be the most those pre-game meetings. Those are really important to the team. You know, whether it's motivation wise, breaking down something, going over something, reviewing something, that could really help. So I believe that 10 minutes is unnecessary.
Absolutely.
Other meetings involving players and staffs must be on the court and a league approved. I completely agree with that. I believe that after pregame meetings, it should be league approved or on the court. I absolutely agree with that. Teams must not arrive at their arena more than 3 hours before tip off. On court limited to elbow and fist bumps. Okay, look, the elbow and fist bumps thing. I don't agree with that.
Wait, are they talking about like fist pumps like this, like bro, or like, are they actually talking about like legit physical contact?
Fist bumps, like when you greet your teammate, you give them like a fist bump.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I
Yeah, I
believe
don't
they
agree
should
with
be
that
allowed
either.
to high five each other. How many people touch that ball?
Yeah, right. Like, why does it matter?
So fist bumps really? Come on, like let's be real here. All right, that's just unnecessary, especially more than 3 hours before tip off. If that's an extra requirement, I'm absolutely okay with it. That I agree with. But the fist bump, no, no, let them high five. Okay, they're touching the same ball anyway. What's the point? Sorry. Team flight structure seating chart to mimic that I don't agree with.
That confused me a lot. I I
I
don't I don't get how they can mimic that.
We all the people on that, all of us tested negative. Okay, we're all on the plane, going to the arena. Okay, no matter who you sit next to. Okay, some dude could be sitting next to a guy who tested positive. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he does that through every single. I don't agree with that. I believe they should be allowed to sit where they are. I believe that there should be certain types of teammates sitting next to each other at certain types of
Not to
places. Like,
mention,
I don't believe like 5 people next to each other. I don't agree with that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like maybe separate them a little bit. Like you know what I'm saying? Like two per. But like the same people sitting next to each other with a seating chart. Come on, this is not kindergarten.
Not to mention they're on the same team, so it doesn't really matter.
Cool down periods where players get a designated and they do not need a mask. I'm okay with that. But I do agree that here's the weird thing. Here's why this is tough with the mask on the bench. This is tough. The reason why this is so tough is because when you enter the game, you take your mask off.
Right.
When you come back out of the game, you put it back on.
Put it back on.
Look. Now here's the thing. This I will say I agree with it, only for the fact that a lot of other sports are doing it. You know, you see NFL, you're not really allowed to take off your mask, but they do it. Like they'll take it off for like 3 or 4 seconds and then they'll put it back on. So like
MLB requires you to have the mask on when you're in the dugout.
right, absolutely. So that I can agree with. But honestly, dude, some of these rules just don't make any sense.
Yeah, the one that really like the two that don't make any sense to me is that's all of them too, right?
Yes.
That you just mentioned. All right. The two that don't make sense to me is the pregame meeting one and the arrangement on the plane and the bench. That one's the most confusing in it. And that's the one that probably doesn't make any sense to me at all. Well, I'll start with the pregame meeting one. Like you said, for inspiration, like obviously of course is important. But my biggest problem with this is that from what I'm concerned, it says pregame meetings until January 26th can last no more than 10 minutes. If you're gonna make that rule, make it effective immediately, just like everything else.
Agreed.
You feel me? I don't understand why they're waiting until January 26th to have that effective. Everything else is going to be effective immediately. That shouldn't be any different. Same thing with the 10-minute thing. That's absurd. Let the guys talk. As for the arrangement one, I think I lost a couple brain cells trying to read that. It just didn't make any sense to me. I mean, you're all on the same team. I mean, you're all playing on the same court, right? You're sitting on the same bench. It doesn't like you said, it shouldn't be like kindergarten. As for everything else, I do think they did well with those.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, see, here's the thing. Now, there's a lot more restrictions with this NBA protocol, with the new protocols. A lot more restrictions, which is why I expect a lot of players. There's going to be a lot of players who I feel like are going to end up getting fined. They take off the mask or whatever by accident, put it back on. There's going to be a lot more cases in the NBA. I really do. Not COVID tested positive, but a lot more cases that are going to have to be looking into, investigated. This guy took off his mask for like 2 minutes. Now what? So, I mean, this protocol. It's very strict, but it's probably the way it should be. Some stuff is a little too strict, like limited elbow and fist bumps. Like that
was the other one I wanted to mention.
That don't make any sense. Like you guys are touching the same ball.
Like I said,
you're all defense on each other.
y'all are on the same team, you're playing on the same court, touching the same ball. I mean, that's not gonna kill you to
Exactly.
be
You guys
like,
are
yo,
touching each other's hands to begin with.
exactly.
What do you think? Nobody fouls in the game? Like when you go for like look at the thing that happened with DeMarcus Cousins and LeBron. He swiped his head. You don't think that you don't think that happens? Like that don't make any sense. Allow them to high five each other. Come on. They practice together. They play in the same court. They're touching the same ball. That don't make any sense. See the mask thing.
Yeah, right.
Here's the thing I had. Here's my skepticism I had with it, but I still say I agree with it. My skepticism was you put the mask on when you go to the bench, but you take it off when you play.
Yeah, right.
That was my skepticism. But the reason what I realized is when you go to believe it or not, when you go to the bench, you might have more people on that bench than you do on the actual court itself. Because on the actual court itself, it's you, nine other guys, and the refs, right?
Right.
And obviously, you're definitely 6 feet distanced away from other players on on the other teams and your teammates. So, but when you go on your bench, you're not necessarily, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's medical, there's strength and conditioning, there's assistant coaches, whatever you can name, ball boys, water boys, water girl, whatever you have, those people on the bench. So I believe there are more people on the bench, which is why I agree that they should be wearing the mask on the bench.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, with this being said, I mean, kudos to them for making a new protocol. Some of these rules are dumb. But as for the most part, I want to say maybe 60% makes sense,
Right.
40 doesn't. So I mean, maybe there'll be more modifying come down the line. We don't know, but I believe there's still a lot more stuff that has to be talked about and discussed, like we talked about in the last video regarding how many people per team. I believe
Yeah,
that's
right.
another thing that should be discussed. But again, we're not the NBA Players Association, so it's all up to them, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future.